What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Jared. Today we're going to be doing the last power mods on the Skyline before we get to the dyno. One little update is I did go to Trent this week and he tried to download some of the information off my car to send it away to get the tune, but Ecutech still has a few problems registering earlier models of Skyline. So sorting that out at the moment, but that gives us a bit of time to put on the last few mods, which is as follows. And as you can see here, possibly you watched an earlier episode where we ported the intake manifold, put on the headers and did some preventative maintenance where I showed you these. But this one is a lightweight crank pulley. This is a pulley for the idler, which is also lightweight. And this one is for the alternator or power steering, I believe. And then to couple with that, I've got a new front main seal to put on, because that goes in behind this crank pulley on that race there, as well as a new bearing, but I realized that I need two of these to change both of them. And at the same time we're going to delete this pulley actually, which is meant for a clutch fan on some models. As you can see on here, there's 4 bolt holes where a clutch fan would bolt. Since my car has electric fans and no clutch fan, we don't need that pulley, and by actually removing it we can save a bit of power by reducing the amount of drag on the engine. To do that we'll need this spacer, where this is a 10mm spacer and this one's 13mm thick, but I think we need one 12mm to go behind where we remove the bolt for the bracket. So to get started, I'm just going to remove this upper cover. I'm going to take off this first belt here to remove that pulley and that bracket, because I'll need to take the belt to the parts store to get a shorter one to make it work. To remove this belt, we just need to undo that nut and then go under the car to loosen off the tensioner. So now we're under the car. That is one of the 14mm nuts that we need to loosen for that tensioner. And then coming under here, then this bolt is going to allow us to relieve the pressure off the tensioner and drop it down. And then this bearing here is going to be one we replace. And this is the pulley that's going to be removed later on. So now as you can see, I've got that belt off. And we'll move on to removing this pulley so we can measure up the new belt. I'm going to be removing that bolt, as well as this bolt, and our space is going to go behind that one. Now I've taken out that bolt, that top bolt and the bottom bolt, and you can see this thing's loose. Now this is out. As you can see, what some people do is they actually use this bracket and they just cut it down here and they use this piece as a spacer, and you don't have to buy anything. I just luckily had this hanging around, and just in case for someday I do want to put this back on for I don't know what reason, this is still intact, because I don't know whether you can buy this as a spare part later. And I did measure this. And it is 12mm, just 1mm thinner than this. So I'm just going to have to remove 1mm of material off this. And this is the bolt that's going to go through, and it does fit. So I think we're in business there. And then I'm going to get a piece of string and just run it through the new route so we can get the length of the belt we need. To measure the belt, what I've done was I got a piece of string and I've ran it in the route where the new belt's going to go, so we can take that to the parts shop to match up the length, and then just take the old belt so they can match the rib profile, and we should be in business. It is worth noting that you can buy the spacer and the belt in a kit from Z1 Motorsports, but I'm here in Australia. By the time you buy the kit, you convert it US to Australian dollars, then you pay the shipping. It's over $100 just for a belt and a metal washer. The washer, like I said, you can make for free from your old bracket. And the belt, it's a generic belt that you can get from any parts store. You just need to know the length. So I'll work out what the length is and I'll let you guys know so you can purchase your own. Okay, so now we got our spacer in there that you just saw in the last shot. Gonna move on to the crank pulley. So the bolt inside is a 19mm, and when we turn this, it's most likely going to turn the engine over. I'm first going to try, because I got the car up in the air, just with the handbrake on to see if we can break it loose. If not, the other thing we might need to do is drop it onto the ground, put it in gear so that the car doesn't turn. Now we got the bolt out, we need to get the pulley off. Gonna see whether we can lever it from behind here and try and wiggle it off rather than using a puller, because I don't think there's enough room here to use a puller to remove it. So I just got this crank pulley off and I'm just comparing it to the new one, and it doesn't look like it is the right pulley. So as you can see here, it is a lot smaller. What I read online was also that these weren't a dampening pulley, and definitely this one is, because I can see the rubber in there. So I might have to go message the supplier about this kit. So I just did a bit of research online and realized what I've ordered is an underdrive pulley set, which is not really what I'm after. I just want a factory replacement one. So I might look online, see whether there's another one I can purchase instead and sell this one online. So I got the old crankshaft seal out. You can see it's quite old, and this one's very hard. That's the part number for the new seal. Alright guys, it's the next weekend. I went and got another belt, this time a 6PK 1140. It was still too short. I would probably recommend a 60. I think that's probably going to be ideal. I ended up making this work. I took the tensioner bracket off and I slotted it a little bit just to get a bit more adjustment, and I managed to get that belt on. So you can do that if you can't manage to find that size belt. It can work. I unfortunately didn't have a new idler bearing pulley for the aircon, so we'll just be replacing the one for the other accessories that I've already got. And like I said in the last clip, I decided not to go with the aluminum underdrive pulleys, and instead I've gone and bought this Z1 Motorsports pulley. So this is what it looks like, and unfortunately with the exchange rate at the moment, this was about 300 Australian dollars, which is quite expensive for something I hope makes a difference. One thing I noticed on this was that they actually installed a metal race on where the crank seal runs, which hopefully is more durable, because you know when the seals get old they can cut into the metal, and this being aluminium is probably going to be even more susceptible. But overall I think it's a pretty nice piece. It looks alright. I did notice that this diameter is 2mm bigger than the aluminum one that I've purchased online. So I did check the seal diameter online and this should fit. For reference, this one's 48mm and the other one was 36. So as you see, I already got that new belt on there, but I'm going to go take the crank pulley off again and then put the new one back on. These are just some free revs now that the car's warmed up. So after the drive, what I noticed was when you're free revving the car, it doesn't make a huge difference with the throttle response, but I noticed it more so when I was trying to downshift. If you know, like with these cars, the stock flywheel's quite heavy, and when you do try to downshift and rev match that, it takes a very long time for the engine to come up, and it's quite difficult. I actually find myself not doing it in this car because of how slow it is. But now with that crank pulley, I notice it is a bit quicker and it's more possible now. So that's where I notice a difference, not so much just sitting there revving the engine. It's not like a lightweight flywheel where you notice it pick up straight away. I would say it feels more like a 5% to maybe 10% improvement in throttle response. So it's definitely not nothing. I don't know whether I can feel any power benefit from the crank pulley though, and also removing that idler pulley. My butt dyno can't really say whether it's made more power or not. So would I recommend this mod? I think for 300 Australian dollars for the pulley, I don't know, it's probably on the more no side for me. What about the idler pulley delete? I think we'd have to know for sure how much power it gains, but for the cost of a belt, maybe $40–50, and that's pretty much it. I think it possibly could be bang for buck if you could pick up a few horsepower for $50. If you have any questions, put them down below. If not, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video.